Been a bit of a crazy day today. I'm just back in my cabin now, 8:30, which is an hour and a half later than usual. Today we were in the Arley Beach. Now the Arley Beach was nice. I didn't get to see much of it. Arley Beach is a tender port, so you lose half your day in waiting to let the ship. So I only really left the ship today at about 12:30. The last tender for the crew was at 3, so I only really had about 2.5 hours today. In the Arley Beach, the weather wasn't great. It was wet. It wasn't cold, but wet means you can't really go to the beach or do much outside because you're going to get drenched. So I spent, of my 2.5 hours today, 2 hours trying to upload a video using free Wi-Fi. So I wasted most of my day in the Arley Beach. I went for a very brief wander, found some of the cast walking around, and I hung out with my shore excursion friend today, but particularly not a very interesting day in terms of YouTube content. However, a few things have happened in the meantime over the past few days on board this ship. So my friend, who is the shore excursions manager on board this ship, he's leaving, which is kind of sad because he's my friend, and it's always sad to see somebody go because you never know when you're going to see him again. I definitely won't see this guy again because he's from Brazil and he's leaving forever to be a flight instructor. How cool is that? What a cool move in terms of a career that is. So that's just a really cool leap of job from shore excursion manager to borderline pilot. That so well done you, Cass. Now we also had a captain circle party a few days ago, and we were given some really insane numbers, right? So this is a world cruise. Everybody on here is very well traveled. We have 2,000 guests on board, and the most traveled person of all those 2,000 is a guy who's done 2,500 days at sea. Okay, that's like what, 8 years at sea. It's a truly mind-blowing amount of time at sea. But then the captain, I don't know where this came from, but the captain had the numbers of, if you added up every single guest on board the ship, every single day they've done at sea, and he added it all up and gave us a grand total. And it was something absurd. It was something like 800 years at sea, which is 8 centuries of cruises. And that's just the people on board the ship right now. I mean, 800 years is ridiculous. I mean, everybody on here is very well traveled. There is a guy on here though, it's his first ever cruise, and he booked the world cruise for 111 days. I hope he likes it. I'm sure he does. It's an amazing cruise, but that's a leap of faith to book your first cruise and it be the whole world. Imagine if you were seasick. That's 3.5 months of being sick. So anyway, that was a really interesting bit of information today. And I also had so every week or so we have a revenue meeting. Me and my onboard boss and all of the departments who make money, so shore excursions and the spa people and the casino people and me, the people who make the money, we all have a meeting, and we are sort of giving updates on how well the ship is doing in terms of targets and all. It's a revenue meeting. It's not particularly very interesting, again, for the sake of video. But we were also given our feedback of our last cruise, because this is the world cruise, but it's broken down into segments. We've just completed the Fort Lauderdale to LA segment. That was segment number 1. And then we did Los Angeles to Sydney, segment number 2. We're now on our way from Sydney to Dubai. This is segment number 3 we're currently undertaking now. So after we hit Sydney, we did a survey of all the guests about what they liked, what they didn't like, yada. And I got a extremely high score in terms of feedback, in terms of friendliness and job knowledge. And it was the best of the whole revenue department. And I'm very happy with that. I'm very happy with that. So go me. We've never really had that feedback before. I've never had that feedback before in Future Cruise, because we are a department of 1 traditionally, to be compared with the casino, which is a team of like 30 people, and the spas like 50 people, and shore excursions is like 6 people. I don't often get any feedback because I'm just me. If you're going on a cruise, you give the feedback on the food, or you give it back on your experience on the shore excursions, or you give your experience as to how good your cabin steward was, right? You don't really rate the person who sells you the cruise. But apparently it's a new thing that Princess are doing, and it was the first time we've ever done it, and I got a really high score. So I'm very, very thrilled with that. Thank you very much to all my lovely guests who rated me so highly. And now, where are we? So yeah, we've just left the Isle of Beach. Tomorrow is Cairns. Cairns is drill day, and it's also the day the Australian lifeguard is coming on board. So when you go to a new country, you often have lifeguard visits just to make sure that the ship is safe and that you're all following the procedures. It's not every single time you go to a new country, it's when you spend a significant amount of time in a country, right? So when you first go to Southampton to start a Southampton season, you have the English lifeguard come on and do a search and make sure everything is okay. Now I know we're only in Australia for 5 or 6 ports, but it's still enough time for the Aussies to want to come on and put us through our paces. So good night from the Coral Sea, which sounds kind of nice. It's a nice name for a sea. And speaking of which, the Coral Princess is in port with us tomorrow. So our sister ship is with us tomorrow in Cairns. I'm now going to go to the crew recreational area for a overdue drink. Today's been a long day, lots of meetings, lots of things happening, and I now am in the need of a Diet Coke or 7. Good night from the World Cruise on the Island Princess.